And welcome, everyone. Unfortunately, we've had some snafus going on, but we've managed to get a broadcast team together, and we are covering a B3 matchup here in round 5. This is Edwin, and I'm here with Nathaniel. And this game was rescheduled for today because of a outage that happened on Tenho, and they managed to find time today to get to play, so we get to see them play tonight. How are you tonight, Nathaniel?
Doing well, and yeah, that was a funny episode with Tenho apps, everything about Tenho going down, and all the games had to be rescheduled. Fortunately, this group was able to reschedule to today, although we didn't see it on the calendar. It is live, and this is their final two matches, final two Hanshan of the 5 sessions from B3, and right now, ID in a promotion slot, probably comfortably so. Takahito, Travis, Kevin, all on the bubble for either staying in B3 or ending up in a playoff spot. So it'll be exciting to see how they fare. Looks like the first hand, maybe Kevin was the winner. And based off these results, it looks like there is a dealer repeat as well. So ID winning a hand, and then Kevin coming back with one of his own.
Yeah, it looks like at 5,200. That's what 3 and 40. Is it 3
Yeah,
and 40?
3 and 40, and
3 and
maybe
40
a stick.
hand. So that's currently where we're sitting at right now here in East 2.
As it is, ID with the call into Tempai for Tanya Dora 1. Takahito also seeking Tanya Dora 1, but Kevin has this massive Honitsu. Got their close as well.
It's a Chun 258. Am I missing anything else?
Nope, 258 and the Chun. What a great weight, although the Chun is dead, so we're not going to see that come out. And now Takahito has to decide if he wants to push one of these Mon tiles, decides against it. Could have dropped say the 4 Mon for Tempai, but it's so scary when you know you're dealing into a Mongon, if you deal in. So
yeah, and given the fact that the 9-mon, the 9-mon Rinchi was the first Monzu tile discarded, you'd figure that unless somebody had an expensive hand, that none of the you would imagine not the Monzu tiles not coming out in this situation.
Absolutely, ID out as well. It looks like Travis across the table holding a lot of the winning tiles, and this is Tempai will fight. Drops the 4-mon. It is revealed to be safe all of a sudden.
So wait on the 7, which is 1 live at this point.
And now Takahito thinking about maybe calling and dropping the 4-mon. Finding a way back into Tempai.
Still trying to find a way back, but they're really running out of time here. It doesn't matter, though.
Just Sumo the last one. All right. Well, that's an aggressive fight, but it's paying off with the Ura as well. And Travis will climb into second place now. I gotta say, I was not expecting one left Penchon to beat that Honitsu four-sided weight, but
again, people there. There's a lot of people that say that. Well, they reach you with a 3-sided weight and then lose to some type of Conchan or Penchon all the time, and it seems to be that people, joke that that's actually a rule more than how do you put it?
But more than statistically likely, right?
Right.
Conchan beats Yanmen or something like that.
And I think part of that boils down to the fact that sometimes when you have those 3-sided weights and everything, it's that situation that you had where the person is obviously waiting in a particular suit. And so people tend to avoid that suit, so therefore tend to avoid that 3-sided weight. And that means that the other players can either get Tempai in that same suit or whatever and possibly chase and then get paid off as a result.
Yeah, I mean, we saw for the 258 Chun weight. The Chun was already dead. The 2-mon was held 3 times in the hand already. The 5-mon was once held in hand, and the winning player actually had an Onko, so the 5-mon was dead. And the 8-mon was being held by all the players. Nobody wants to drop an 8-mon Dora, so I think there are only 2 tiles left for that hand to win, which is the last 8 mon and the last 2 mon. I don't know if those had already been discarded or not. As it is, Travis with another great hand here. Look at this Dora 3 with a potential Tanya as well on the right. Kevin with Ishan 10
In
4
that
reaching Ping
case,
Fu.
it's a bit awkward with the 7-8 because you really don't want to draw the 9 in this situation,
Right.
Because it would just you wouldn't be able to call, and then we'd have to reach. Hopefully, you'd still get the Yanman weight out of this, but could end up being a bit tricky there.
And look at this now, Kevin upgrading to potential 2-3-4 Sanchoku. Oh, here's the 6. If it comes out, I imagine we'll see a Chi.
Yeah, the 6 would immediately fix all those possible issues, so no surprise there that it was called.
Takahito
But at this point, I'd almost imagine, unless it wouldn't come out immediately, but I would imagine that 7-so might come out at some point in time, because you could chi the 5 or the 8 with the 6-7, but then you're left with a pair of 6s, and if you end up on a Shanpon weight, that's, it's more expensive, but maybe harder to actually convert.
Well, Kevin does draw the wrong side, but still has Richie Pinfu potential Tanya as well, and ID draws a bad tile. 9-mod doesn't fit into hand, but might just dodge because it's a dealer reach. So far, a little bit of Mawashi. 1-so not guaranteed safe, but very likely to be safe.
Yep, and not completely killing the hand either.
So if ID finds closer to Tempai, we might see a deal in.
Depends, because it could be that she's trying to go for a callable hand now, having discarded the 1-so again. She could have easily discarded, like, say, the 2-so twice and tried to Mawashi that way, but
right.
So they took a different situation here, but you're still going to end up probably on a 6-so something Shanpon weight, possibly here.
Right. I mean, the bailout is if you draw a Mon tile around that 4 Mon, then you can drop the 4. So, oh, and there's a little bit of a punish. Could be Tempai right now on the 5-so, which would be Genbutsu. Of course, you're not expecting there to be a lot of 5-so remaining, but okay, this draw helps a little.
So yeah, almost guaranteed, pretty much guaranteed now to have a Shanpon weight.
Oh, that's Tempai. Okay, we'll take it.
But unfortunately, it's a bit late. We'll just probably have to settle for the Tempai payments at this point.
Yeah, the way that hand was building, I think you're happy with the 1500. And we'll go again with Kevin as dealer, extending the lead just by a bit. The rich get richer in this case. There's a stick in the pot, and not a bad hype buy here. There's a Dora, an Anko 1 Mon already, and a pair of Shaw. So just 2 tiles away from Tempai. On the right, it might be a Honitsun pin, if you continue to draw pin tiles and perhaps pair up a Yaku higher too. Across the way, ID has a very classic sort of Pinfu hand with a Dora. And on the left, Takahito looking at, so hoping to build a 5-6-7 Sanchoku or just a Pinfu. We'll see how the hand develops. A lot of honors to get rid of. No call in this west, presumably. Not seeing a fast route to value if you do call that.
Well, the option would be that you try to go for like some type of Chanta hand, but it would still be a bit of a ways off.
Yeah, open Chanta
and with
door
a West
one.
call, as dealer, it kind of would probably put up some bells somewhere about that type of hand.
Whereas this looks pretty great for just a Ricci Dora. It gives you a lot more potential value. I like the no call there.
Only issue is that 2 of those Yanmens are in Dora suit, and we just saw our first Sozu being discarded right now. So, not sure if Kevin's going to be able to get what they need.
Well, there are 2 3s. A lot of 9s were in the wall, and
one of them's there now,
6s.
as you're saying.
So here we go. Ishanten for dealer. And that's a great draw for ID. Now might be able to find Ipeko in the Manzu. Interesting, the 7 is chosen as the cut. That is because you don't want to ever drop the door. You don't really want to use the 8 so as your pair. And we'll see the Ricci from Kevin on that 3-6, the aforementioned difficult to find 3-6.
And again, there's only been one Sozu discarded. I don't know, unless you're pushing or you have a relatively expensive hand, that you'd want to discard Sozu, because it looks fairly expensive around the table in general.
Yeah, but your dealer, you have Richidora. It seems like a fine push. You don't need to reconstruct your hand, although you did immediately draw 4-pin and you could be on 2-5 right now.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's wrong for dealer to Ricci. I'm just saying in terms of getting the tile from somebody else, it's
right. I guess
seemingly unlikely.
A big part of this is what happens to Travis on the right. We saw Travis push against a dealer, not a dealer Ricci, but a Mangan Ricci before. And if he draws good tiles, might be inclined to push again. But looks like he's leaning towards just folding out here.
Yeah, because technically low Monzu isn't safe either.
Interesting, Takahito has drawn the Chun Anko. Maybe that incentivizes a push, especially if you draw Dora. Oh, but no, ID is the one who draws Dora. This is still Ishanten for ID, but not great weights. You've got 3 pairs. Now you've got 4 pairs.
Well, yeah, you can't really.
I mean, if she draws
Go ahead.
another Dora, I'm assuming she'll just take the Ricci.
Probably. I mean, it's Dora 3. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't.
So many pin tiles are coming out. You'd expect maybe you could find the 8-pin. It doesn't even look that dangerous against you, given that you've dropped 7 and then 9, and now 8 is 1 chance.
When if worst comes to worst, she probably would end up calling for K10/Haite Hote chances.
Taka as well is technically Ishanten and can still be Ishanten with a 9-mon cut. There's a Dora. Will we see a call? She can see 3.
There's only 5 tiles left.
Mon.
I mean, go ahead and take the K10/Hote Haite chance.
Oh, but that allows a Tsumo, so there it goes. Reach Tsumo Dora and no Ura, but that's a nice pickup for Kevin, who will extend the lead even further, over 40,000 at this point. 41,000 to be exact. And look at that. Haku Anko to start for ID.
And the Dora, and unfortunately there's only one, and it is an off-win, so either draw another, or if you want to keep it, it's going to be Dora Tanki.
Yeah, we see a Dora on the right and the left as well. On the right, there are 3 pairs, so perhaps Travis could think about angling towards the Chitoy route.
Probably, if you're holding the Dora, and especially since it's an honor in this case, there's generally little you can do other than possibly go for like a Toy or just play Dora Tanki in general.
In this case, it is Travis's seed win, so there is an alternate route if you ended up pairing the Dora up. As it is, draws an Honko of the 7-pin, so perhaps just building towards Ricci and maybe even Ricci Dora Tanki in the end.
And Ira looks like they'll just won't worry about, and we'll try to go maybe for the Honitsu, Yakuhai Honitsu Dora 2.
Ooh. Yeah, there's a lot of different directions this hand can go, depending on if you find a 1/4 Mon, if you get the 7-pin first, if you just draw a Dora. Committing to the Honitsu. Okay. So now a big question is, how long will these Dora remain in the other 2 hands? Travis still holding on to his. Takahito has not discarded one either. Looking at maybe an Itsu there on the left, but finally backs away from it. Draws the 9-pin and realizes that it doesn't look good against the Honitsu. We do see a Ricci on the right, though. The Dora is the Ricci tile, and Takahito instantly follows. This is Ricci Nomi, waiting on 5/8 Mon. There are still 5 left in the wall, which is quite good.
Yeah, Irie giving up the Dora there after drawing the 3 Mon.
And now all the Dora have been discarded. So we know the Richi's and not valuable in that sense. There's no Dora pair, no hidden Dora Anko. That might incentivize ID to just push this hand because she has at least 3,900.
I think possibly a chance for Kevin to continue maybe trying to find a Tempai because unless it's like a one chance or something like that, the 1-2 so probably could have been discarded considering you see three threes, but um, I don't know. It might have been a possibility for them.
That 3 bond discard from ID signals to the rest of the table that she is pushing. And so even though 8 pin is safe against the Ricci, we might not see it leave the hand.
Yep.
Oh, well, that's going to kill the hand. Unless
She
ID
might drop the
6.
6 first
Yep.
to hedge, yeah.
The 5 is also
But
safe.
yeah, so it's possible she ends up discarding the 5s. Oh, maybe a con isn't there.
Oh, well, this
Well,
hand is
now
dead.
Irie's hosed. There's
The con.
She has to either.
Yeah, I was going to say the con really incentivizes you to fold now. If you were worried about the 5-8 Suji before, and you thought, well, maybe I'll push it if I get Tempai because there's not a lot of value in that hand anyway. After the con, all of a sudden there's a chance at a lot of Ura.
I mean, fortunately for them, they did discard the one which is the new Dora, but like again, yeah, not sure there's much incentive to push here.
All right, Gyukoku it is. Despite so many tiles being in the wall, could not find the Tsumo, and so we will move forward. Travis netting 2,000 points will leave a Ricci stick in the middle of the table, but will be on the deal. And, ooh, this is kind of interesting. You have the sort of Itsu tiles in the Sozu, but no pair. You have Dora Acceptance, maybe 789 Sanchoku as well, or something like 567. Yeah, a lot of interesting shapes in this hand.
Oh, decided to forego the 789 Sanchoku, which would have been able to incorporate the Dora and would have allowed you to call. At this point, you're just going to have to build your hand normally unless you play for the Itsu.
Yeah, I think drawing the 5 pin, that creating that nice shape. Ooh, yeah. I still think the 789 was maybe a little bit of a stretch, especially because your shapes are already pretty decent as they are. I'm wondering
Yeah,
what.
my only hesitation is that like if you want to convert on this, especially with one Reiki stick and 3 Homba on the table, like it's possible the 789 might have actually been the better way to go. Just at least you could call for that. As I said, I think so right now you can't do anything, and that would allow somebody like Irie to catch up if say somebody dropped the Hatsu, for instance.
Yeah, ID loves the Pinzu here, or maybe it's the other way around. Collecting a bunch of those. Has an Anko of the Northwind and a pair of the Hatsu. No call on the 8 pin. I don't know if the 7-9 shape was in hand, but that would have been a nice way to speed it up at least.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that, but looks like Kevin has reached Tenpai first, waiting for the 5-8. So, and again, this I mean, just for me, this kind of boils down to like, well, you can try to develop the hand normally, but it, I'm not sure the shapes were that great, and the 789 soundtrack could have been the way to go. But I mean, as it stands right now, they can at least still try to fight, but
Yeah,
it's gonna
there's
be a
a
lot harder now.
5-6-7 Sanchoku now. You can still call. Oh, but not willing to push a 9 so or a 3 so. Takahiro looks like he's angling for Chitoi with 5 pairs.
Pair may actually help later, but it's not necessarily going to help right now.
Ooh, these honors keep getting paired up to the right. But once again, you have to push Moderately scary tiles. 4 Mon definitely not looking very nice here. 3 So at least looks a little bit better. And that will be the push. Likewise, the 6 So comes out, so that allows Travis a couple of save tiles. Unfortunately, it's already sort of demolished the hand.
Now the Formon is safe. Irie can go ahead and discard that.
And finds
perfect
Tenpai
timing
too. Oh no, this could kill Taka if you Dama. Will he notice that it's a push? Or no, it's not a push, it's
no!
Genbutsu. Yeah, that was really bad timing for Taka,
Bad
but
timing.
great for Irie.
Terrible timing. Well, terrible timing for Takahiro.
Yeah.
Great timing for Irie.
Oh wow, look at the door pair, but it's no longer the East round. Let's move over to Irie's perspective. Single door in hand, Shansari Peiko. To the right, Takahiro, as has been kind of consistent in the past few series, just not a really amazing high pot. You have 2 completed shapes though, so perhaps you can, with some good draws, just work towards a Richi Pinfu. Across the way, Kevin, South pair, that is Yakuhai. And other than that, relatively cheap hand. And again, that door pair on the left, not holding these honor tiles, not forcing something like a Honitsu, just looking for Richi door 2, or even you can Dama a Pinfu as well, if you wanted to just grab 3,900. I wonder if with that Shun pair, Kevin starts to think about Chanta, and yeah, 6 Mon comes out.
Could be that hands ends up at 3 Han instead, especially if they hone the tune and then go for like a 1 or 9 pin Tonki.
Right? Well, here's a tune. And there's the pull. Ishanten for Kevin. ID as well, Ishanten. Although decides to give that up. Seeking the ability to call for a Tanya, perhaps. Yeah, maybe thinking with 2 calls, I just need to take this Ishanten, even though it's cheap.
Yeah, it could get a little awkward here depending upon what tile she gets for her Tenpai, but again, with 2 calls across the table, may not matter. The only thing that I would be worried about is that you don't see the Dora.
Alright, calls into Tenpai 5-8 pin.
That was a perfect call, actually, our tile that we needed, so they could actually have the Ryanman wait. So 5-8 pin versus 9 pin, of which only one 9 pin is still live in the wall. There are 2 5s and 1 8 left in the wall.
In the meantime, the hand on the left for Travis has suddenly turned into a chance at Santoku, door 2. But the 7 pin, I think, is dead in terms of tiles on the wall to be drawn. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if you drop the 4 so here so that you can... Oh, no, the 5 so that you can't call.
And Taco pushes the 5, but it's only for a small 1,500, so definitely the lesser of the 2 hands there.
Absolutely. Plus, with this deal in, we get to go again. We'll see another round. ID starts with great Tanyao tiles outside of the 9-8 Penchon. There's an Anko and some and a good Diamond shape that can accept the Dora and the Sozu. Speaking of Sozu, there's a pair of Dora in the hand to the left and a North Call already. So we have Yakuhai Dora 2, it looks like. And maybe even 3 if you can find another 5 So.
Yeah, I could imagine this calling for like some type of even going for some type of toy, especially with the 9 and 8
Oh,
pins
sure.
since they're outside tiles.
And if you just draw,
As we're saying,
yeah, you got the hard one. Now toy is a serious consideration for me.
so that would be 12,000 if they managed to convert on the toy.
Yeah. Pay toy Dora 3, 6 Han, Sanemon, or 12K.
And the thing is, Irie could easily discard the 8 9 at this point
Oh, absolutely.
because it's not
Even
going to fit. It's not going to fit in her hand.
there goes the 8.
So there's one. And
there's
imagine
the
the other
9.
one comes out and that's called. So
Oh!
now, not
Oh
called.
my. This is
Okay, so this is
Tempai.
just a Mongon hand then.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm more confident in the Tonki weight, even though it's for toy, than I am in this Kanchan. Because at least with the Tonki weight, I can, shift it around to whatever tile I desire. But we can see ID has this floating 7 Mons, not doing a whole lot in the hand. And maybe she calls this for a 2-3-4 Sanjaku? No. So 2 7 Mon left in the wall. Takahiro can incorporate it into the hand, but the other 2 players cannot.
Yeah, and well, now you can naturally do it if you want it.
And now the 7 comes out, of course. So for the Shampoo weight, there are 3 tiles left in the wall. We did see a 9 pin come out earlier. No one can use one at this point. If it's drawn, it will likely be discarded into the Hanuman. And this 9 Mon as well will do it. As Travis pulling in 12,000 points, going to knock ID down a little bit. And so a bit of separation now between the 2 leaders, Kevin and Travis. We'll move to Taka's second dealership.
This actually gives Taka some life here because now there's actually somebody that's it's somewhat close to them.
Yeah, but you need to actually draw some good tiles, and these are awkward.
Well, unfortunately, the South backfired.
Yeah, right.
On the second turn.
A lot of times when you're choosing,
the shapes just aren't that great, and maybe they should have held on to the South, just because if you don't confident in the rest of the hand, you'd want to at least have a Yakuhai to call so that at least you have something.
Yeah, and yeah, I think all the tiles were serving a purpose in the hand, and so it's just a matter of choosing which honor tile to keep and which one to back out on. And usually you drop the one that's double value for one of the players at the table. In this case, that'd be the South player. Unfortunately, that was the one that you ended up drawing later. And now you've got 4 pairs, and you don't want to be making Chitoi.
I wouldn't mind if you had a door, but you don't have that either. So, and it is your dealership, so
right.
Which makes it even worse.
Well, 5 pairs.
Another pair. So.
Okay. I mean, if you just keep drawing them, then Chitoi is not a problem at all. We see a Dora on the right in Kevin's hand. That is actually Ishanten. Kanchan and a Penchan to fill.
Not sure about the 6-0 discard there, but or the 4-mon discard, because I don't really see much Sozu, and I'd be worried that people might have them. Of course, Takahiro could think even bigger at this point.
Yeah, we'll drop the 6-0. Oh, there's Tempai.
So Kevin declares Ricci waiting on just the 7 pin. One of them is left in the wall. Taka is easily not going to be discarding those, I imagine.
Yeah, just needs to fight for this, it looks like. 9 pin is twice cut. Oh, Suako Ishanten.
Now there's this hand plays itself. You either deal in or you go for it.
There's 1 tile of each of these pairs in the wall. And now door 2 on the left for ID.
I mean, not much information there. I guess the safest thing would be 9-so. Safest thing out of it might be 9-so, 9-so.
Mm-hmm. Taka Even though, yeah, just maximizing efficiency. We'll probably take the Ricci if you draw the 3-so. And now, same thing with the 5-8-so draw. Really wants the Suanko.
I'm not sure if anybody else has picked on the fact that dealer is pushing here.
There's a 7.
Home.
Insta-pulled. And now waiting on either the 7-pin or the 4-so. So Taka will not deal in. Just who will get the 7-pin? And will the last 4-so be found? There's 5 draws remaining. 3 on safe. 3-so safe. Now these two players can defend.
Home.
Oh, ID changes the draw order.
That's
And gives the
Ishan
sumo.
doesn't matter. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Son Uncle Toy Toy life for Takahito up to 24,000. And now there's a real battle for 3rd and 4th. Yeah, perhaps was Haite going to dealer? With the call, it guaranteed.
I was trying to figure out if Irie was tempai with that call or not. And I don't even think she was.
Yeah, with that call, that gave Haite to Travis. So dodged both the dealer hand and the Ricci hand, both the 2 tempais. Unfortunately, that just gave Takahito the win. And we've seen that a couple times now, the call giving the winning tile to another player. Of course, you can't expect that's going to be the result of your call. But we'll go again in South 2. Again, a hand that doesn't look great, but Takahito managed to pull a miracle off in the last one. Kevin, looking much better on the right, has a chance at Ipeko, and Dora acceptance with the 6-8 Kanchan shape in the Manzu. Across the table, how about a lovely Tanyao Ipeko Dora 2? Ishanten. After 4 discards for Travis, and on the left, ID fills a Penchon. Is there Itsu here? Not really. You're probably just making Ricci Pinfu, unless you draw specifically the 3-pin. And perhaps for that reason, we're just going to hold this 1-2 pin until we see, until we draw a better tile.
So, like, probably won't be a Sanshoku across the way. Probably, maybe. Considering that now they've pivoted there with their 5-5, 6-6, 7-7-7.
Yeah, it'll be difficult to get Sanchoku unless you Dama and then draw a 4-so. I guess you could draw a 4-so right now, drop a 7, and then draw the 6-pin to confirm the Sanchoku if you drop the second 7. So that would be another route to confirming the Sanchoku.
There with that 1 mon discard of the prior turn, did not take it. My guess is either wants to go for the. He wants to go for the. It doesn't matter if he went for the Itsu. I guess maybe she just thinks the 4-5 sub just really isn't good to drop right now.
Yeah, so normally you would keep the 1 mon and drop the 1-2 pin, but maybe thinks that the value isn't enough, or is just slightly concerned about the open hand from Taka. I mean, Dora is a Tanyao tile, and Taka's just making a desperation Tanyao push, but has actually found Ishanten. And to the right has drawn into the Ipeko, so that is headless Ishanten as well. Very wide, a lot of tiles can be drawn into Tempai there. And the 6-so, a 6-mon rather, is a tile that Taka would love to have in hand, but ID will not play it. And interestingly, Travis dropped away from the 4-6 shape, decided that having a Yamen in the upper Bonzu was better, and you'd expect to see a 9-mon.
Each.
Oh, there's Tempai. Which weight do you want? The Dora weight with a 6-pin discard? Or the Tonki? Chooses the 8-mon Tonki. That encourages
It's an
Travis.
interesting play there. I would imagine. I guess. I mean, couldn't you possibly, if you really needed to, you know, the Formon is there. There would have been Suji for that.
Yeah, I I don't know if it was a case of just believing in the 8-mon here, not believing in the Dora, or forgetting that you could just drop out of your Anko shape. But as it is, 8-mon is still once left in the wall, and there is another draw for Kevin, so we might see it. And Taka has not been able to find
I'm not necessarily
Tenpais.
opposed to this. I'm not necessarily opposed to this either. It's just more of like because of the fact that so many Monster had been discarded, so it easily still could work.
Yeah, ID managed to find Tenpai. Ah, there it is! This time giving the Tsumo to Kevin. Seems like every time she opens her hand, it gives the Tsumo tile to another player. And there's Kevin pulling it off. Turns out 8-mon Tonki was right. And this makes the battle for first place quite interesting. 2,100 points separate Kevin and Travis for first. It also makes the battle for third and fourth about the same distance. Only a couple points larger gap as Takahito ate the Oyakaburi for that sumo. For dealer here, this is looking like it could shift to a Tanya with a 9-pin discard. On the right, we have another Tanyao hand. With the Anko, it's not going to be Pinfu. And with all those 8s, I want to see a Doko, but we don't have any 8-mon left. We're now Ishan 10 on the right. Very good shapes. Across the way, there's a chance at 1, 2, 3 Ipeko in the Pinzu. Outside of that, just the Dora in hand. And there's a Tenpai. This is going to be 3-sided.
3-sided weight.
Taka,
and
though.
that's Ishan 10 for Taka as well?
Yes. All, with a 3-sided as well, 3-sided weight as well. But can you push the 3-6 so?
They might push. They might take the 5-pin if they're really.
Oh, just drops the tune.
I can certainly see that. You know, maybe if somebody else pushes, then they pay in, and then you're better off that way. But yeah, I guess the sticking point's just the 3-6, so right.
Right. I mean, I guess if you draw 4 or 5, so then you can find your own Tenpai without ever having to discard it. Heidi's getting close to Tenpai and will deal in as a result. Richinomi currently no Ura, so just 1,300. Not that expensive of a deal in. And maybe a bit of regret, as Taka would have been Tenpai on 5-8 pin if he had been able to push the 3-6 so. Would have actually won on the 5 pin that was discarded. But as it is, we're going into all last, and there are honors everywhere. The 2 players in the lead have those honor hands. For dealer, this is looking like a Chanta. Although the 3-pin was the first cut is a little bit interesting. But a Chanta with the south and a Dora. And on the left, Kevin just starts with an Anko of the Yakuhai North. Has Yakuhai pairs in the south and the Hatsu as well. So Mochi Mochi on the south, but lots of other ways of getting there. We see a Cod.
But I mean, currently Ishan 10 as it stands already.
Absolutely.
Although I imagine that you could easily just see a Pon and then not only it'd be what 1, 2 triple Yakuhai Honitsu.
We might even see the 8-9 come out here. Yeah.
Maybe a Dora. Although with that 8, it's probably likely you won't be poning both of those.
Ooh, this is an interesting spot. Decides to make the call. Find Ishan 10. Could have even called that 5, so for a better shape, or 5-mon for a better shape. But instead draws the 1-mon, does Kevin. So that's Ishan 10, a little bit of a wider Ishan 10 now. Similarly, a wider Ishan 10 for Taka with that 5 so draw. Although I'm sure Taka really wants Toy Toy. I guess that doesn't increase your value too much.
It doesn't really matter unless they can somehow manage
get Sananko too.
Hanamon at this point.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that would be to get Dora through a con, so he'll just take his 3rd.
Yep. At least, I mean, with the way that game was going, was not looking very promising, but does manage to bail out with a 3rd, and As a result, no placements will change in this final hand. It will be Travis, the winner, with plus 26.0. Kevin, close behind, will gain the 12 points. Takahiro will eat 11, and that will have some very interesting implications on these standings.
Yeah, Kevin should be moving right below Taka, I think.
Yeah, they're all bunched up now. Travis overtakes Taka in 11th place and Kevin right behind with one game to play. Okay.
That as it stands right now with the hiatuses and everything, that it is very, very likely that those playoff spots that you see in 4th and 5th and at 12th and 13th will move down one spot. So there's going to be some more breathing room for some of these players.
And with that in
Or
mind,
it'll likely be room.
right? With that in mind, the big thing is just not to get a big fourth, right? Of course, you want to improve your standing, but you are desperately avoiding a big fourth. And even with ID taking that fourth, if there are 2 additional spots, or even just 1 additional spot, should be fairly safe in with her 3rd place positioning.
This is one of the few games that are left. I think there's just one game. Once this table is done, there is just one game left to play, and actually, that table is playing right now.
Yeah.
So,
do we have a game result?
B3 will be settled. So, well, I mean, they're in their 20th game, so whatever game they had, whatever their 3rd game that they had did finish, and in that case, where is that? Oh, there it is. Aaron got a huge first, actually. Scored 54.5, and everybody else was negative. So Elvin was at a minus 1.3, Nicholas was at a minus 12.1, and Zach took a minus 41.1.
Very interesting.
So, Aaron at minus 172.6.
Surpassed Zach?
Well, it surpassed Zach, and I guess if they possibly give Elwin a fourth and they get another first like that, depending upon, again, you just put yourself in the best position.
Right.
Aaron could find themselves in 15th.
Yeah, I remember Elwin was fighting for a playoff spot should it dip down any lower, or even in the current positions. And now things are getting quite close.
Yeah, if you're Greg and Scott right now, you might feel, if you're Scott right now, you might actually feel a little bit relieved at this point because there is only one game left to play at this point on the other table.
So it is looking kind of likely that Scott will be able to maintain what appears to be, after a little bit of adjusting, a playoff spot. And I know that table with Aaron, Elwin, Zach, and I forget the other player who's at that table, but all those 3 plus 1, they're going on right now. And our table with Takahiro, Travis, ID, and Kevin, that's about to start in about a minute. Final games of B3B going on right now, and the division will be settled in about an hour. I know there's in the other
it's actually Elwin, Aaron, Zach, and Nicholas.
Nicholas, okay. I know in the other division, the B3A division, they have a game to be played on Saturday, afternoon game, I believe, and we will be casting that one as well.
So a rare weekend broadcast here.
It's very rare for us, especially in the afternoon. But I know Tucker said they were available, and I'm free as well, so we'll get that out there. Should be an exciting one as well because I know Jessa's at that table, Viet's at that table, and a couple other, Eric and Jen. They're all at that table. I'm really excited to see how those 4 Hanshan play out.
So we should be getting an.
Oh.
There we go.
Yeah, we had I was waiting for the gong to sound and it just never sounded. Let me turn on the volume again. And we're off. Door is the south. We see none in hand, but already a tune call on the left from Taka. It looks like just aiming to finish this hand, to be honest. There's no Honitsu visible just yet. And now a door draw, so I guess we have our pair candidate. For the dealer, this looks like there might be a small Itsu chance. This hand is Ishanten already. With a 3-so draw, you would end up on a Shampon weight. For Richinomi, to the right, that looks kind of pretty. You do have multiple pairs in that hand, and we'll see those get trimmed down most likely. You might end up on a 9-mon 9-pin Shampon weight for Richinomi as well. Across the way, ID has the ability to call the Haku and a lone door on hand, so we might see another play for Dorataki, except for the fact that there's already a pair in hand, so we'll just have to see how that develops. If you call Haku and then Tuso, you could easily end up on that Dorataki.
That's why I wondered, because Kevin had dropped the Tuso, Irie didn't call. I'm like, well, if you're going to go Doratanki and you're going to go for the Yakuhai, then that actually would have worked perfectly for that. So
yeah, not willing to make that play, and perhaps going to be rewarded with just a Ricci Shampon weight after discarding the Dora.
Yeah, if that's the case, though, probably would want to get rid of it sooner rather than later. But I guess with it being 1 out and now 2 out, it's not as bad anymore.
Well, look at this. Travis has managed to find the Itsu confirmed. Throws in the stick with the Shampon weight. 8-mon, 7-so. There are 2 left in the wall. Just 7-so remaining. ID also finds the Tenpai and the Shampon. Oh, there's the Ipatsumo! Incredible from Travis. Throws the stick in and is rewarded with an Ura as well. That's 18,000 points. ID found Tenpai as well, but was not willing to take that Ricci with the weight half dead. And saved a stick as a result. 1,000 points remains in the bank account. It's Travis who's come out to the incredible start. And look, Travis took a first place in the last game. Could climb all the way up into the positives with a result like this. Definitely feeling very secure right now. And for the other players, that makes things quite nerve-wracking. For Takahiro and Kevin, they're battling it out to see who can stay in the clear in the B2 division and who's going to fall into that playoff spot. Another great high pie for Travis, it looks like. Already Ishanten again. The chance at Ipeko in the Pinzu. But I have to skip across the table to ID, who just paired up the Chun, has the South Anko in hand already, and a completed shape in the Sozu. That hand also Ishanten. Kan into Tenpai!
Oh my god.
Ricci on the 3-6. Of course, the 3 half dead. You wouldn't expect the weight to be on the 3-6, but here we are. There are 2 left in the wall. And how do the players react? The Haku has become the new Dora. However, once has already been cut. Takahiro has one that doesn't really want to leave the hand. That hand is very far away from Tenpai.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not. I mean, the whole, why would somebody be waiting on a half weight? Unfortunately, still doesn't necessarily matter as important, because they could have easily had been on a 6-9 weight, so not as useful, but still works. And Irie's Tenpai now as well.
Yeah, drew the perfect tile, decided to throw in the stick as well. 4-7 pin is a much better weight. There are 4 tiles left in the wall compared to the 2 for Travis. None of the players have Dora in hand. Well, there's a Dora discard. That is a scary one to see against a dealer Ricci, but it does pass. Now only 1 tile left in the wall for Kevin. We did see him find the Sumo with 1 tile left in the wall on a Mon weight in the last game. We'll see if it happens again this time. But statistically speaking, ID should be winning this one. Oh, there's the last one. Kevin's drawing dead at this point.
Ishanten for Chitoy at this point, but would need to not pair up the Haku.
Yeah.
Which is the unfortunate part.
Haku just came out though, so allows Takahiro to push that. And the 6-so I mean, compared to a 4 and a 7, seems actually kind of safe. We could see all the 4 so at least.
Yeah, just if you get Chitoi Tenpai though, you do not want to draw the 6-0 in this case.
Now only 2 tiles on the wall for ID. We have 17 draws left.
Yeah, and Taka's done.
Oh, well, are we? Back into Ishan then.
Yeah.
3-pin save. Only 7 tiles on the wall. 2 of them are winners. 3 so. Doesn't look good. Again, Taka will back out. So just a matter of can ID find it or will Travis draw into it? Hote passes. All right. Ryukyoku. ID will pick up 1500. Travis will as well. Both of the Ricci sticks stay in the middle. And we'll go again. And another interesting start for Travis. Dora 2. Tanyao tiles. But look at these shapes.
They're
Awkward, right?
full. Like you would need to start pairing these up or something, or that.
Yeah, draw an Anko. I guess that sort of moves us closer. Not really. It does improve one of our
Counts.
shapes. I mean, hey, we'll take it. We're basically gonna call for anything at this point.
The interesting thing is that if your hand's that bad, like I almost would have kept the Haku, and if I'm gonna play for the Dora, like I can't necessarily depend on getting a 4-0 and a 6-0. So I could have easily seen you discarding the 3-7 at that point because you want to keep both of the Dora.
Yeah, if you draw the 3, discard the 3-7 though, and then draw the 4 and 6, you're really trapped.
No, you can just kick them back, and then somebody's like, well, they wouldn't have kept the Dora if they discarded all this stuff. So
Yeah, it's so interesting. Travis is drawing pairs and Ankos of these tiles. You don't need the 4 and 7 if you just build vertically, and that seems to be the goal here.
it's more of a goal rather than it's just they're kind of just stumbling onto it because they just keep on drawing the pairs in Anko.
Speaking of hands just coming together out of nowhere, look at the Chinitsu that's building across the way. ID hasn't discarded anything particularly that indicates you're going for a Honitsu or something like that, but just keeps drawing Manzu over and over again. Sand 2 away from Tenpai.
That could be, well, it's Tenpai for Chinitsu Chitoi.
Chinitsu
Sorry. No, actually it isn't. It's 2 away. I forgot to see the 3-6s. Sorry.
But yeah, you draw 2 of those. You Chinitsu Chitoi's Baimon Dama. Oh, that's a great draw. This is Tenpai for the 2-5 pin. Ricci Dora 2. Sananko. I almost want to wait to draw the 3 pin and get Suanko and Sandoko at the same time.
Yeah. You could have waited.
Oh, would have been Suanko Tenpai. But this has a lot of value in its own right, and we don't know that we're going to see another 4 or 5 so 4 pin or 5 so. There was one 4 pin. No, yeah, 1 4 pin left of the wall. Oh no, it looks like it came out right afterwards. So yeah, there were no more 4 pins in the wall. And 5 so there was 1. A very difficult wait. Now Kevin is 2 away from Tenpai.
Is holding on to the 5 for now.
I guess the real play was hold on to the 5-mon, huh?
Yeah.
ID, what do you do here?
Because he would have discarded the...
Like, you can see all the 5-mon, but that's not a really great tile in terms of Kabe.
Yeah.
You can also see all the 2-mon. That's a better tile. And she's just going for it. Could have been Tenpai.
me going for it because had dropped the 2-5 mon earlier, so oof, could have some possible Fu-riday issues.
Yeah. But there's so much value in this hand. You don't know that Travis just has this gorgeous Saranko. Oh, can call it a Tenpai here, but it is Furiten. 3-sided Furiten. Only the 1 and the 4 will win by Sumo. Oh!
Yeah.
5-so. A moment of silence for the Suanko that wasn't.
Although that would have been, that's drawn because of the call, so we, whether or not that,
oh, Taka has the Chun Chun. Oh, scary.
okay.
Somehow, those 2 incredible hands were dodged, and we will see 3 Richi sticks, 3 Homba. Another continuance for Travis. This time 4 pairs. Maybe it's another Suako bid? I mean, you got close on the last one.
Have you learned your lesson from last time that if you're in that situation, you might as well see if you can get that? At least wait a little bit.
Another Onko. So maybe we lean that direction. Kevin. Maybe a 7-8-9 Sanshoku. There's door acceptance as well. Door 6-mon is being held by Taka on the left, but those shapes are not. They leave a lot to be desired, let's say that. Maybe if you draw a Hatsu or something, you even just go for Honitsu.
Yeah, I mean, with 3,900 in the middle, I mean, you just take whatever you can.
Yeah, and you have the north pair. So that does give you some calling options. Unfortunately,
you're mochi mochi.
Yeah. And here's another Onko. Suanko part 2, Sanako at least. There's chances for it. You can see the 7-so is not in the wall. There is 1 9-so left though. And so a chance to find Sanako Tenpai. Yeah. Takahiro sees the Honitsu route size. Just cut 3-so, 3-so, and go for it.
That should probably be noodling why they haven't seen a north yet, though.
Yeah. But you don't mind as much not being able to call the north. Because you just want those sticks in the middle. And the north would be nice, but it's like a bonus. Hatsu was paired up. 1 still left on the wall. I'm tilting my head sideways. Kevin is Ishanten on the right. With pretty wide Ishanten as well. A lot of tiles will get that to Tenpai. And we saw the 9-so leave ID's hand, but there's still 1 in the wall for Travis to draw here. I'm a bit concerned about holding this 5-mon, and yeah, it comes out.
I'm wondering why Takahiro might have thought the 1-so was dangerous.
Maybe just never saw.
Or maybe they just didn't think they were going to incorporate the 9 and all, and so it didn't matter.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You do lose out on Itsu chances, perhaps, but I'm not sure if there was an actual legitimate Itsu path to this hand. That's Tenpai.
Richi.
And we'll see a Richi.
We'll only now and really wait until the last Hatsu, pretty much.
Right.
I don't see Irie discarding the north.
Yeah, unless she folds right into this. We'll see a call for Tenpai for Tanyao. Waiting on the Dora and the 7-so. 6-mon. There's 1 in the wall.
Yeah, Irie has some out before she might have to discard those notes, I think.
Yeah, 5-so is safe. A couple of 5 pins. Wow, looks like a lot of safe tiles. 1 pin should be very safe as well. Should be able to make it to the end without discarding anything dangerous. Doesn't matter. Where's that Hatsu? And where's that 6-mon? Oh, this is Tenpai. Wow, pushes the 7-mon. Was that safe?
Don't think so.
I feel like 6, so for Tempai, was safer than dropping the 7-mon. Perhaps that 7-mon was right next to the 3-pin and the 3-pin was trying to come out. Just a little misclick.
I mean, they could have technically called that tile too, although it wouldn't have put them in Tempai.
Yeah, I think it's
They
correct
called
to
2,
just
3,
get
4,
out of here.
discarding 3, so...
Oh, but the North does come out.
Oof.
No Uda found, but this is Hanuman. With the North as the extra Yaku, that puts Takahiro in second place, over 30,000. Now, ID can afford to lose some points here, but you don't want to lose too many. And for Kevin,
Some, I mean, like some is still very little because you could easily see yourself falling down all the way to 6th with a bad game.
right. Kevin with a chance at 789 Sanchoku here. The door is the Chun. We see one in the hand to the right. That hand is actually Ishan 10. You draw 3-pin. I imagine you just go Dora Tanki. You do have Richi Pinfu dropping the Dora, but... Oh, it looks like there's a 5-pin cut earlier. So we'll definitely be going Dora Tanki. Across the
trying to
way.
get back into Irie's deal-in, I mean, they're trying to avoid the Ricci, although, and trying to not pay into the possible door across the way with the Tanya. So I guess they were probably out of options because I think they had 1 pin, but since that was next to the 2-pin Ricci, that wouldn't have looked safe either.
Right. Actually, it was a 2-mon Ricci.
Was it a 2-mon Ricci?
Yeah. I
Let
know
me
there
see
was
the
a
2-pin
5-pin in the discards for the Ricci. So,
Oh.
you know, if the 5-pin's cut, then the 1-4, 6-9 look more dangerous. Maybe that was the consideration there.
Yeah, I thought I saw a 2-pin out there somewhere, and that's why I was wondering. But
I do remember seeing at least a couple 2-pins discarded. And what Travis is thinking about maybe calling this down for Itsu. Yeah, it is awkward because you don't have the pair, but I imagine I have an idea of what the pair is going to be for that hand.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. Kevin also calling. This is Tempai on the 7-pin for that aforementioned Sanchoku. Oh, good. We can drop the 2-3.
Taka's like, I don't really want to con these ones, but I'll hold on to them just in case.
Right? Conning a terminal or an honor tile does essentially add a Han to your hand. Something that I failed to do in one of my games last week and was punished for it.
I guess why Taka's not calling the con is because the rest of the hand's just awkward.
Yeah.
If you're gonna incorporate the Dora and go Dora, you either have to draw another one or draw the or Anko yourselves, and then also fill in your 2-4-6 pin weight. So it's very thin to get to that point. So probably the reason why you don't see Takahiro calling a close con with those 1-sos.
And also consider the fact that there are 2 open players. Either of them could easily be Atozuke waiting for a Chun Dora. I imagine we'll never see the Chun leave Taka's hand.
Yeah.
But as it is, Chun is the only Dora, so that is the only way that you can add a bunch of extra value by having an Anko. By conning, you all of a sudden give a bunch of different options for extra value that don't involve the Chun. So you might be able to hold the Chun for forever, but then deal into Tanya Dora 3 instead after conning. And it looks like Taka's just out. It has no reason to risk anything in this hand.
Necessarily out, but at least if they're going to play this, then they've just decided that trying to get a pair of Chuns or the Anko Saos at this point is just unrealistic.
And we see an entire row of Tsumogiri from Kevin, so we're assuming Tempai.
Oh no, there's the South.
Yeah,
He
honestly,
would have drawn it.
you just look at that and say, yes, another safe tile. Just what I was looking for. Also, by not discarding these 1-so and not conning, it's killed Travis's hand. And Travis might...
That 7 will deal in.
Yeah.
Should deal in.
Boom.
There we go.
I wonder if Kevin was thinking, no 10 payments are worth a lot more than 1,500. If I'm the only one tempai. There were only like 8 draws left. So there was a decent chance of getting there. But maybe Roan gives a little bit more mental damage. And as it is, we will go again in East 2. Kevin has a chance at incorporating the Dora. There's... I was going to like think about 1, 2, 3 Sanchoku, but it's not going to happen. We're just building towards Richie, maybe Itsu in the Sozu. To the right, we have a north pair. No Dora, but we can use a Dora. Now we have 4 pairs. Kind of difficult to predict where that hand's going to end up outside of just some type of Richie. Yeah, definitely looking a lot like Richie Nomi now. Across the way, it is the Penguin who has a lot of pin tiles. And perhaps we'll cut 9 so. There's also 4 pairs, so no need to discard that pair right away. But Honitsu in the Dora suit seems like a viable option for value. And on the left, Travis looking at that 79 Sanshoku.
Yeah, I think like Taka's hand is good and bad at the same time. You did have the pairs, but you also don't have the Honitsu. So and you're probably not gonna get it unless you really draw into some of the rest of your hand.
Even here, not fully committing, dropping the once cut Chun instead of going with a 9 so, because this is Ishanten.
It is Ishanten.
You draw the 7 pin, you have your Ipeiko, and you have a Shampon weight on the 4 pin 9 so, which isn't amazing, but you could even Dama that because you have the value in the Ipeiko and hope to draw another Dora for Dianpeiko. Tempai found for Travis chooses to Dama for Pinfu only, really hoping to draw a 9 so and get the Sanchoku, but Airi finds another Anko. We'll take the Richie. Chooses the 6-9 weight instead of the Shampon on the north and 7 so. And now, Travis, do you just chase? No, bails out. Besides, I don't have the Dora. It's quite likely that the Richie hand has the Dora, so maybe it's not worth me fighting this in first place.
Yeah, trying to go for the Shampon weight wouldn't have worked anyways because the North was dead. If the North wasn't dead or was at least one cut, then I might have considered it just because it's a terminal tile that probably nobody would have needed. But if you're only waiting on the other side of that, it's probably not the best.
Taka draws a really bad tile on the 6. Besides, maybe I could clear the 9.
Ooh.
And that doesn't clear, so it is Richie Ura. So 2,600 points, a little bit of a boost to ID. There were some Ura-san chances there that didn't end up happening. That would have been exciting to see. East 3 now. This hand looks great. Double Tone, Hatsu Pair, Dora. That's a Bangan. We'll see if ID can pull it together. There's a Chun Anko on the right. And that's Ishaten already. What? Finally, a good hand for Taka. We could see a second turn Richie. One tile off. Across the way.
Ari's hand, and I was just kind of thinking, there was some way you could think about having trying to pull in a Chanta there too, but the tiles that you've drawn just haven't pulled that way. So
yeah, you're thinking like
really
maybe hold the 1 so a little bit longer just in case. As it is, these draws haven't been terrible. There's the Richie. It just took a couple extra turns. Richie Chun waiting on the 5-8 pin. There are 4 tiles of those left on the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make that 3. As we saw a 5 pin get drawn to the hand across the way. Ipatsumo, just like that.
Never mind.
Well, that's a Mangan. And Taka now fighting for first even. Shuts down the dealership for ID, and it'll be Taka's turn. First dealership has the Chun pair. No Anko this time, but can call into it. And there's a lone door in hand. You have all the blocks for Chun Dora Tonki, and now you have an alternate pair candidate.
Home.
So imagine we see the Hatsu come out, and then you're hoping to draw around the 7 pin, and you can discard the 8-9 Penchant. Here's a question for you. If you
Yeah, go
draw,
ahead.
say you draw the 7 So, or the 7 Mon, do you just drop the door for Tenpai?
I don't particularly like it because it is just a penchant. There's almost no way to improve that way unless you pair up the 8-9.
Yeah, I almost like just...
It kind of would depend upon if I thought people were close at this point. Well, now the situation's moved here, but yeah, I would have to determine whether or not people were close or not, in my opinion.
We
And
see
it's still relatively early that you probably could have waited.
Khan.
Takahiro Khan in this situation?
Not yet, but not giving it up. Maybe after finding Tenpai, especially if you get the 6-9 pin weight. It looks like people are dropping those without a problem. Interesting, Travis has another one to discard. Might even come out here. So 6-9 looking a little bit worse now. We can see 4 of those tiles either discarded or
Reach.
face up in the dead wall. Well, now we're happy we didn't make the con.
Well, Irie's on the same 6-9 weight at this point. Talking with that 5 pin may just be out fully.
Or...
Oh, never mind. You could discard West-West.
yeah, I just draw another 5
Yeet.
pin. Another chase we'll see from Travis on the Entotsu weight. 6 pin, 5 So, 8 So. Or just Richi Nomi. ID has Richi Pinfu Dora. So definitely the more expensive hand on the left. Taka's in a position where his only play might just be to push.
Might be running options here at this point.
I mean, the 5 Mon is Nakasuji to both players, so you don't even mind pushing that. Mons look very cheap right now. So I think if the 7 So did come out, we'd see it cheap, but instead there's 8 Sumo, Richi, Sumo. And if you're ID, you're looking at that thinking, man, my hand was so much more expensive than that. But at least you didn't pay in, and this puts Travis a little bit of a buffer over Takahiro. In fact, calling the Haku looks like a pretty speedy hand here, perhaps.
Problem is, like, yeah,
You can
the
get...
problem for Irie is at this point is that this score line is not really good in terms of her standings.
Right. I mean,
And she needs points quickly.
she's been getting Tenpai. It just hasn't been getting the winner.
Home.
And there's a call for the Yakuhai South. And perhaps you can draw into a Dora and
Yeet.
get a little more value. Instead, it's Kevin pulling in the Dora as the pair in the hand, taking Richi Dora 2, waiting on the 7 Mon. Oh, Taka's got an Anko of the 7 Mon, but not a whole lot else going on in that hand. Looks like it's going to be a long time before Kevin can find this win.
Yeah, I wonder how much Irie will push, because the thing is that, like, even winning a small amount here would be fine. As long as, like, even she pulled into third, even with like a score line of like 18-8 or something like that, or 19-8, it would still put her in a decent position. Just being in fourth is what's killing her at this point.
Yeah, right now this is like a minus 35 approximately. So that would drop her below Wenshin.
Yeah, and I Irie for like discarding that 8 and trying to continue on with the hand here.
Yes. But if you can just find a Dora, that gives you a little bit of extra value. You're fighting for 3,000 points at that point. Kevin is drawing dead. We can see where all the 7 Mon are. And this is where things get a little scary. Now you have the Suji set up. So if Taka runs out of safe tiles to push against this, might choose to drop away 3 7 Mon. Because once you pass 1, you get the other 2 for free. We'll see what ends up coming out here. For now, the 1 mon is pretty safe.
Yeah, and I already forwent calling the 5 pin at the time because did not have a pair, got the pair, so can now call for an actual Yanmen Tenpai if they wanted.
Okay, Taka still has safe tiles. The 6 mon is good. 2 mon is good. $18 draws remaining. And Travis not out of things yet. Has a chance to find Tenpai as well. As dealer.
Home.
There's his Tenpai. Chooses the Shampon weight on the Genbutsu 1 and Suji 3mon.
Not in the wall, but Taka could discard that, maybe, if they are also the run out of ideas. Although the 6-mon gives him a reprieve.
Yeah, Taka needs 2 safe tiles. There's a 7, there's a 9. So definitely can get out of this safely.
Yeah.
Thinking about if how chi will affect the wall placement, and does like the chi. It gives high take to ID, so definitely agree. Call to Tenpai here.
That'd be Tenpai.
Now you have the high take as well, but there's a save tile. You can push that too, so, and we are clean. Wow, 3 players Tenpai. Taka holding half of the winning tiles for the players around the table. And it'll be Travis's dealership again, this time with door acceptance, that being the 2-so, but not much else. Kevin on the right with Tanyao shapes, and can use a door there too. Across the way there is a door in hand, and excellent shapes, as well as the Chun pair. Maybe we'll just call the Chun down for 2,000 points plus sticks. Get yourself a little bit closer to fighting Kevin for 3rd place. And on the left, that's a pair up of the Yakuhai South and a door in hand, but the shapes are not good.
Yeah, the South just got discarded by Irie, so only 1 left now.
See, Travis probably wants to use the 8-so as the pair. Draw a door 2-so, fill in the Ryokan and the Pinzu, and draw into Ipeiko in the upper Monzu. But now that you've drawn this 7-so, those plans will probably be changing. ID getting closer to be able to...
It's a little awkward. That's what I was kind of noticing there with Irie's hand, because
Yeah.
there are 2 pairs, but the Ryamen shapes are not. The other shapes just aren't coming together.
This is an interesting spot. Do you just like the shapes that you have with the 4-4-5-so, the 4-5-5 mon, and all these pairs, or do you want to hold this 5-pin as a floater so that you can draw into Zanshoku? It looks like she's not content with her blocks. Wants a little bit more out of this. And we'll take the Chi, Atozuke for the Chun, and a couple ways to call into Tenpai here. And you can call into Tenpai, still making it look
There
like
you go.
now. But not necessary.
So going 3-6-so weight as opposed to the Champon weight, which, looking out there, yeah, it's reasonable.
And you also want to consider what happens if you draw a Dora. In this case, you can just drop the 1-so and wait Champon anyway.
Yep.
You can see all the 3-so being held, as well as 2 of the 6-so, so only 2 tiles in the wall to be drawn. Taka has found Ishanten, but it's Kanchan Ishanten. Might call this. If you do, you're probably discarding the 6-pin into the... discarding the 6-so, rather, into the deal in. As it is, we see Ricci on the right.
You could have discarded West and then maybe the 3-mon after that, but that's moot now.
Immediately, the 6 pin was drawn, and that is a deal in tile. So Taka will probably be bailing here. It's Riichi, Tanyao, Pingfu.
And Irie has shifted to the 2-5 weight now.
Oh, there's a Dora draw. I wonder if Taka will be tempted into taking a Tanyao Tenpai should the right tiles come in. There's another Dora.
Oh my god.
Well, the only way to get there safely is to redraw the 6 pin. And
No, they could call a 5 or 7 if well, not the 5.
oh yeah, and wait on the 6 pin, but you're Fu-riday 10 if you actually want to win the hand. Yeah, this is exciting. 6 so does not look good, but you just have to keep your Tenpai. You could drop 8 mon and go Fu-riday 10 again. Yeah. With only 2 draws left, maybe that's the right play, but just pushes it, and it does pass. Takahito not Tenpai, so just finding the safest tile.
Does not help, unfortunately.
And again, Ryukyoku. These players have managed to dodge so well in this game. We keep seeing over and over again these Ryukyoku. 2 sticks, 2 Honba. Travis, no longer the deal. So we'll move to South 2.
Travis did have the Norths and has now called it, so off they go.
Yeah, although look at those tiles in hand. It is, even after calling an honor and discarding one, still 3 left in hand as well. As
you just figure out Chanta or something.
Yeah, just call and go, see what happens. Now, a hand that has the ability to call and go is Taka's across the way with the Haku Anko, but maybe he just wants to keep that closed a little bit.
I mean, they are Ishanten.
Yeah, Ishanten already. And maybe seek value with Honitsu. The tune isn't that helpful because it's been twice cut, but maybe if you pair up... Oh, the Sha is twice cut as well. Yeah, Honitsu might be a little bit difficult at this point. For ID on the right, there's Ipeco chance in the upper Sozu. Uh-oh. Red score indicates a disconnect, and that's definitely not what we want to see. Hopefully ID can reconnect soon. And for Kevin, our dealer, there is a way to incorporate the door into this hand. The so shape looks nice. The rest of it, not so much.
Actually, looking at Irie's hand, I mean, we're either looking at Sanshoku or Junchan, Ipeco. There's quite a bit that could be there.
Yeah, that's quite nice. Unfortunately, it hasn't drawn anything really painful. You could have used the 8-pin pair as a pair in the hand, just gone for like Riichi, Ipeco, but we want a little bit more than that.
And now Irie's drawing tiles outside of the possible Junchan, Sanshoku, Ipeco, all that stuff.
I mean, 4 tiles away from Chinitsu. Do we just commit? No. Holds firm. Revisiting Travis's hand. It's been, you know, an entire row and almost a half. It has gone Dishant then. Just a complete makeover, and there's even a Dora in the hand. This is Tenpai on the 1-pin, 2-pin, but so many of those tiles have been discarded. Might just Dama this. 5 of the winning tiles just sitting in the pond.
I mean, also could end up with a better weight if they draw the right Monzu tile, but...
This is a weight on the 3-pin. Very sneaky. And there's the Ipeco draw. Oh, there's a Tsumo. Oh, I guess we should have reached it, huh?
Korak is like, hit the button!
But look at all the sticks. It ended up being plus 6,000. And gives Taka a fighting chance for first place here. Only 5,000 points outside of that goal. We move to ID's dealership. And there is door acceptance. These shapes aren't bad for putting together a hand. There's a... I want to say there's a world where you get 5, 6, 7 Sancho, but it is a bit far away. Maybe now you're
point right now is the Penchan 1-2 Tumon and the the 2-so right now. The 8-pin isn't as bad because you have the 4, 5, 6 that you could possibly draw around to incorporate the 8.
Right. You just think of it like a 4, 5 and a 6, 8. And if you draw a 7, you're very happy with your 3-sided shape. Speaking of 7s, the door is the 7 Mon. Sorry, not the 7 Mon, the 7 So. And I was looking at the 7-mon Anko on the left, and we can see there's a 7-so in the hand to the left. ID would love to draw it as dealer, and Takahito almost needs to draw it with that 889 shape. Someone's thinking about a Hatsu call, and Kevin
That would have
passes
been
it.
Kevin.
Well, now if you want it, you gotta call this one.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so I guess the real question, the reason why they hesitated was because if they're going to get to Tenpai, they're probably going to just drop Dora. Unless they're going to go Dora Tonki. So I guess that was the real issue.
Yeah, now I'm not sure about this move. If the play is to like if you've already just decided I'm doing Dora Tonki no matter what, then I don't mind this cut. If you're still thinking about whether you want to use the door or not, you could just cut the 4-so immediately. Like if you're gonna cut it the turn afterwards, you might as well cut it immediately and see if you can cheat the 8.
Yeah, and if you cut the Dora immediately, you would be Tenpai right now.
As it is, you're like hard committing to this Suji trap. But Dora, when it's the Suji trap is setting up the Dora, is a little less effective. But still lots of ways to find Tenpai here. I mean, this 5-7-7-7 shape in the Monzu is quite good. And now it gets even better if you want to drop the Dora. But I think we've seen a hard committal to holding on to this. We see a double south paired up now for Takahito, so there's calling options. Currently at 2,000 points, unless you can find a Dora for the hand value. And there's a Dora. But there's a Tenpai. Travis crossed the way. Richi Nomi waiting on the Shampon 5-pin, 9-pin. And this is a Tenpai for Kevin if he wants it, but doesn't feel comfortable dropping the 5-mon. And there's the con of the 5-so. Things getting really exciting here. Reveals the 1-pin to be Dora. That adds a lot of value to Travis's hand. Well, one Dora that we can see and another Uda chance. Maybe everyone's going to be hesitating about pushing this. I think Taka, given that that is his closest competition, will continue to fight though.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at where Irie's going to be able to get to Tenpai here. And there are certainly tiles that she can discard, like probably the 8-pin at this point.
Yeah, Taka's already past that, I think.
Okay, let's see. So maybe wouldn't want to drop the 3-so, maybe? I don't know.
7-pin not actually that helpful anymore. Perhaps anticipating, well, because the 5-so is dead, the 6-7-8-8 shape isn't as strong. As far as pair candidates goes, you're really just waiting on the 8. So I think the 8-so cut there is correct. Plus, it gives you a chance to wait on the Genbutsu 8-pin, but now the 8-pin has come out 3 times, and so it's a lot less useful of a tile.
Yeah, you won't be able to pair up the 8. That's why I was wondering if maybe Irie should have discarded that 8 instead, because you still don't have your pair.
Taka bails out of the south pair, so ends up deciding that this hand, if it's going to find Tenpai, it's going to be working around these tiles that have been drawn.
That's Ishan 10. You can drop the 8-pin. We've established that already. Is there some squeamishness about the 3-so?
Yeah, we've only seen one of the 1-so discarded. So, and we can see, 2 of the 2-so? It could be a 1-2 shape. But we'll find Tenpai. Waiting on 4-7-7 Genbutsu.
Was possibly worried, but not worried enough to not discard it here for the Tenpai.
Yeah, and maybe just thinking 3-so looks like a great tile to draw and make my head. Taka shifts.
I mean, that has to be for changing a draw, right?
That actually gives Haite to the Richie, right?
Oh, God.
Well, no harm, no foul. And okay, we have the East pair again. For ID could claim those sticks. It is quite a close battle between 3rd and 4th place at this point. On the right, Takahito has a lot of pairs. That's 4 of them. But this doesn't have to be Chitoy. There's a Dora as well. A lonely Dora. And if that gets paired up, I think it will turn into... Well, I think this 4-pin might be enough. We are Ishanten now for Takahiro. Across the way, Travis grabs a nice tile. 2 away from Tenpai there. On the left, Kevin has the Dora indicator, but no Dora just yet. And that hand looks like a bit of a mess. The 6-0 draw certainly helps out. Maybe you can just shift this into a Tanyao.
Pong.
Yeah, you need to call and figure it out later if you have to, if you're Irie.
And we've seen Heidi be very deliberate on her calls. Pretty much every single call, hesitating for a few seconds to maybe decide what the cut should be afterwards, or make sure this is really the call that you want to make, that you really want to be opening up your hand at this point, and just using the time that's provided.
I don't know if Taka's committing to the Chitoi here, because I think if they had, they wouldn't. I don't think they would have been keeping the 6-7 mon around.
Yeah, with this 3-pin draw, the Dora comes out.
Each.
Oh, it's a fast Tenpai. Again, it's not a good weight and not good value, but it's really putting a lot of pressure on the table. I think if you're Taka, you have to, like, with 2 Dora discarded, so the value is probably not that big. And at some point, you have to just make your play for it.
Possibly. I mean, Taka is last dealer, so
Yeah,
maybe that might blunt it a bit.
That's a good point. I mean, there are 2 Ricci sticks in Hopa. And I also say this as a player who is very cautious / borderline cowardly. So it is not a bad decision here to just go pay and see what happens. I mean, there's a chance we end up in Gianpeko. And this is interesting, where Ishanten, again, for Chitoi.
Pong.
Yeah.
Tenpai on the 5-pin. Oh, Gianpeko Tenpai, we just smashed the button.
Oh my gosh.
There's a 7. I don't think it's coming out, though.
Oh no, she chose the wrong song.
I mean, 2-pin was the safe cut, and Nakasuji, you feel like a 5's going to come out because of that, but... And maybe Kevin still drops the 5-pin if nothing else is safe. I mean, now he's got 2 Richis to fight against. Also, the 3-so is Genbutsu to Taka's Ricci. Oh, but there's a Tsumo! Travis pulls it out. Sanzo for the win. And pulls ahead. Over 50,000 points now as we move into the final dealership. Some very interesting hands, just with a quick glance around the table. Starting with dealer, Taka has the East Anko already, as well as 1 tile away from confirming Ipeko. We're also Ishanten. So, on the right, Travis has a lot of Tanyao tiles. Looks like it could be a very fast hand to just shut things down. But across the way, there's a Haku Anko to start, as well as a singleton of each of the other dragons. Unfortunately for Kevin, the Chun has already been twice cut, so no Daizangen here, but maybe thinking about turning this into Honitsu and maybe even Shouzangen. On the left, ID has, well, maybe the least exciting hand of the bunch, but 4 pairs. And
I think if I'm Irie, like unless my hand can improve here, I might want to make Taka might want to help Taka like continue their dealership.
yeah,
And try again for a better hand.
Taka doesn't have calls on and did not grab the 7 and just takes the Dama Tenpai here on the 3-pin. This is East Ipeko.
Irie going for Chitoi.
All right. Chitoi is a way to find value. I mean, 3,200 Tsumo would be enough. I guess if you Ricci, then you're gonna have 64 with a Tsumo. Oh, there's a Tsumo for Taka.
Oh my gosh.
And that'll be extra Fu as well. So this puts Taka only 2,800 points away with a callable hand and a Dora as well. Their South pair in hand. Reasonable shapes. We'll see if anyone could shut this down. I mean, Travis on the right has shut down a lot of hands with these early Riccis. Has a Dora in hand on the right. But the other shapes aren't amazing. I mean, they're not terrible either. We'll see if Travis can pull it off. Across the way, that is a lot of pairs slash an Anko. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't know, if Kevin, do you go for Toy Toy?
Home.
If you see the 6-pin specifically.
I mean, basically, you probably just want to end this. Like, you're in third, you don't want to fall into fourth at this point, so and you don't want necessarily to continue bleeding points trying to come back, because I mean Taka just took 2,600 from everybody.
Right.
So
So no call on the east. That was the first pull-in opportunity. In the meantime, Taka has called the south, so Yakuhai is visible. And all the blocks are here for a win. Just need to fill in this 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 shape in the Manzu. Preferably with a 6-mon or an 8-mon, but... Ishanten now.
I kind of hoping for another repeat here.
Yeah, I mean, this hand has blocks. It has 6 blocks. But none of them are... Well, not many of them are good. Only one good block in that hand. And a bunch of pairs. So yeah, maybe you allow Taka to call a few more of your tiles. As long as you're not dealing in, it's probably not going to be the worst thing in the world.
Fortunately, she has nothing that Taka could call. Well, that Taka would want to call, let's put it that way.
Yeah, the ideal tiles, perhaps, that could leave the hand as an 8-mon, but those are being held by the other players, and Travis has crafted something that actually looks like it's got a legitimate winning chance. It is a bit awkward that you drew the 1-so there. The remaining shapes are not great.
There's Tenpai. Wait, there's all the 4-2s are over there.
Oh, this con is going to be brutal. Yeah, I'm really interested to see what Kevin is going to do with all these 2s. I'll just discard one, okay. Well, this is kind of what ID is looking for. I mean, look at the scores now. 200 points separate 3rd and 4th place. And that also puts Takahito in the lead by 400 points.
So here's the funny bit, right? 3rd and 4th just need a 1-han hand, right?
Right.
Even if they sumo, it's going to be a 1-han hand is 300, 500, right?
Right.
Taka would still be in first place by 200.
That's true. And, well, Travis also has reason to push for a 1-han hand, and that might force Taka to go for a 1-han hand, because if everyone else speeds up, you kind of are forced to just match that speed. Now, who's got the fastest hand?
Pointing that way with the discards is like, it's definitely looking for something Tanyao-ish.
Unfortunately for ID, nothing fast in that hand. It looks like you're just going to be building to a normal one. Across the way, Kevin might have a Pinfu here. If you get lucky with the draws, Taka can call for Tanyao. And Travis looks to be not far off from Arichi, a couple tiles away. But no Tanyao there, so maybe Taka actually does have the fastest hand here.
There is some world that somehow Kevin gets to their Tenpai by going for Sanshoku.
That's a good point. You can call for Sanshoku. Well, that's a good draw. Now you have a pair. Maybe... I wonder how much Kevin greets the door. It actually just drops the 4-pin away.
Again, you really just need to end this and finish in 3rd. So I don't think greeting here would be an option.
Oh. Yeah, it really does look like Kevin is angling like for this. Well, I was gonna say Sanshoku, but I guess the 5-so is the pair in this hand? I'm not sure.
I guess. But if that's the case, then I would probably want to get rid of those Sozu sooner rather than later, because other people might be, well, if everybody's going for a quick hand, you wouldn't necessarily want your final weight to be near the Dora.
As nice as Taka's hand looked, it's gotten kind of awkward as well. Okay, this was the plan all along. Itsu.
Itsu?
Pinfu
Yeah.
Itsu. Oh, more pairs for Taka.
I
This
mean,
is so awkward.
Pinfu would just be fine at this point. If somehow Kevin draws a Tenpai here, like that form on discard might come back to bite Taka.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Also important, ID was holding that 4 mon, thinking about calling it. It just being Tenpai at the end of the hand is important. So you want to make sure that, if nothing else, you've found Tenpai.
Yeah, because even if Takahiro wants to continue the game, I mean, the tiles could also just say no.
Right.
And you don't want to be left holding the bag at that point.
It's very important for Travis as well to get there. Travis, Isha, Dianshan 10 still. It's been so difficult for all these players to get there. Good draw for Taka. This is now Ishan then. An interesting draw for Kevin. Redrew the 7 after grabbing a 6. And are we giving up on Itsu now for the 3-sided? That looks like the play.
Yep.
Taka could have called that, but chose against it. Would have just been no Yaku, so just fighting for K10 at that point.
Also gets rid of the 4 now.
Yeah.
I think sensing something here.
And
Yeet.
perfect timing as we have Tenpai on the 4-7.
So this is interesting now because it's Ricci, right? So right now, Irie needs to be Tenpai.
Yes.
If she's Tenpai, if they're both Tenpai and Taka's not, then actually Kevin finishes in 4th.
Yes. Yeah, Adama actually might have been the play to avoid that scenario. Taka does have the 8-mon to push. But is concerned about the...
Would you call that 5-pin? Or 5-mon?
I think so. Oh, wow.
リーチ
And chases with Ricci. This is an awkward situation as well because that puts Taka below Travis. So now if Kevin wins, Taka will be second.
But now Irie doesn't have to fight anymore.
Yeah.
Because you're guaranteed another unless Kevin wins, then you're screwed, but you would be screwed anyways if Kevin won. So you could just sit back here. And yeah, it's gonna hurt being no 10 and losing points and stuff like that, but
Wow. It goes to you, Kyoku. We're going again. These endgame scenarios are so exciting. That was a chance at 6 and 8 Santroku I didn't mention for Taka. There was a lot of value in that hand.
Taka could try to clear out the Ricci sticks here by winning this hand, and then possibly then just no 10ing out for first place.
Yeah, I think that would be the goal here. I mean, there's 2,900 in the middle of the table right now, and there's the South call. But other players definitely have hands they can fight with. Across the way, Kevin's looking really good for Tanya. Same thing on the left for ID. Both of these hands looking quite strong.
And really, again, for Irie,
Each.
and it just needs a one-hand hand, but
Another Ricci. Do you cheat this?
チ
Yes.
I mean, Irie's got nothing to lose at this point.
Right? It does improve your shape. So we'll see ID fighting. And now Taka is in an interesting spot because he almost wants Kevin to win.
But he can't totally fold out because if somehow Travis becomes Tenpai at
チ
the end and they get to Ryukoku.
Yeah, I mean, so if Taka deals in, that will change placement. If Kevin sumos, nothing will change in terms of placement here. Oh, Tenpai for Taka on the same weight. Oh my goodness. And Tenpai for ID as
Irie
well.
now Tenpai. So those 6s at least aren't going to come out from Irie's hand. If she draws another one, that might become another issue. But
Only one 6-so in the wall to Tsumo. With a 5-8. It's 1 8-mon. 2 5-mons. Travis is out, bailing. And if Taka reads this and it gets late enough, he might also bail, if he can. Taka might just have to push as well, because on certain sumos with...
G.
Oh, calls to increase the weight, incorporates the 3-so now. Unfortunately, that tile's also dead. Certain sumos might be enough for Taka to fall below Travis.
Yep.
Oh, it's a Dora, but just pushes it. This is fighting Mahjong. Another winner drawn for Travis. That half of that hand just lit up in orange. How has nobody dealt in yet? Great defense on display. 3 tiles left. Taka misses. Travis whiffs, and we're going again.
Oh my gosh.
This is so tense. Now for Taka, this does increase the lead dramatically, because Travis had to pay out 3,000 no-10 payments. Effectively, a gain of 4,000 points for Taka there. You can see the gap is 6,400.
There's 4,200 in the middle, though.
And another fast hand for Kevin. Calls the west right away. Shapes leave something to be desired, but there's a door south in hand. For Taka, this might be a 789 Sanshoku. But we'll just have to wait and see how it develops. South in hand as well. We'll see how long that gets held. ID might just call this.
He needs to call this.
Yeah, again, we've seen ID hold, but is definitely going to call this. Making sure she knows exactly what the future of this hand's going to be. Already Ishanten as well. And I think this 3-so might eventually leave Kevin's hand unless he manages to pair it up. And that would be the ideal call for ID.
You could easily tempai before then, and then it becomes disastrous. There should be a chi here.
Yep. Call is made. Kevin now 2 tiles away from Tempai. And the south, so awkward. It's the door. Everyone's calling. There's the pair up. ID's not going to get the tile she's looking for from Kevin. And now Taka, do you start to open up? Yes. Fighting for the 789 Sanshoku. Needs a 7-so though.
The problem is that since these have gone to Ryukoku, the pot has not reset. And so Taka doesn't really have much of a choice here. Like, the situation hasn't changed that much.
There's the deal.
Oh, and there's a 3.
But that is an acceptable outcome for Taka. And for ID, the winner of this Ryukyoku battle, South 4, finally goes her way. And it is going to be Taka taking first place, plus 34.7. Travis with a very large second place, plus 20.5 is incredible for a second. ID snatches away third place, only losing 20.6. That's pretty important in terms of the standings in the B3B bracket. And Kevin eats the fourth place, negative 34.6. We'll have to...
26, that puts Irie at plus 92. Plus 92, so that's actually in 5th position now.
Does still manage to drop below despite not finding 4th. All those sumos and no 10 payments end up hurting. And we'll get the final refresh of this B3 division. B3B, that is. I know we'll see some more from B3A tomorrow. But there you have it.
All games are done now. So it looks like Aaron was not able to pull out with that game there. Ended up falling back down to 18th.
Looks like Zach probably took the first then, and Elwin the second. I do see Elwin a little bit higher in the standings. And
I suppose I could figure that out.
Yeah, we'll see the shift of places. We'll determine our playoff spots. We are assuming that the playoffs, rather than being 4th, 5th position and 12th, 13th, that those will be shifted down at least 1, possibly even 2 slots.
Yep.
And depending on how that shifts, we will know who will be in the playoffs for next week. But it does
Travis
look
and
like
Takahiro do manage to hold on to their
yes.
B2 position.
Yeah,
B3
Travis
position.
and Takahiro both safe. Will not be playing next week. And for Kevin and Heidi, we will find out. But I do believe that is the last game of the evening.
Is the other A2 match done?
Well, they started an hour ago, so I'm assuming unless they had a South 4 that was as wild as ours, I'm assuming they are also finished.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah. They are done. I forgot this game was that long. I actually went back to look at the game results because I was trying to figure out the other B3B game and did notice that game was 63 minutes long.
I do want to say it has taken 5 sessions and been robbed of a first place, but Philip in that A2 matchup finally got a first place in the first game of that of the games that were played today, the third game of that series. So congratulations to Philip. It's been a long time coming, but glad we got there in the end. And for A2, that division is shaping up really nicely. The top 5 slots for promotion, all above 100. It's going to be a really exciting finish in session 6 to see who ends up actually promoting. There's some players who are very close. Pio right behind at plus 86. Vincent also pretty close behind as well.
You can probably toss up the A2 standings,
sure.
Since there's nothing else going on.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and pick a player from A2. I know. Okay. There he is. And we'll just update these. Wait for them to load in. Yeah, Joe right up at the top with Joshua. 169 points for both. Only decimals separating them. Andre's close behind, as well as Andrew and Matthew. But session 6 is always the most exciting time of the season. Everyone watches very closely to see how the other games are playing out, to know exactly what they need to do in order to advance.
And this is a league that still, with 20 players, this is a position round. So from looking at this and the way the pairings go, table 1 will be Joe, Kaz, Matthias, and Huang.
Okay.
Table 2 will be Joshua, Riley, John, and Andre. Table 3 will be Andres, Dustin, Alex, and Ada. Table 4 will be Andrew, Vincent, Kevin, and Patrick. And then table 5 will be Matthew, Tio, Peter, and Philip.
All right.
So, with Matthew and Pio on the same table, that will certainly be a battle for that spot, that 5th position. Although, what could also happen is that they kind of, if the other 2 players have a good last round, it could actually knock both of them out.
And
but there is a pretty big gap between 7th and 8th, so there's probably only so many people that might be in contention, barring a really good last round.
And you noted as well, like some of those tables have good battles for the demotion zone as well. You said Matthias and Huang both at the same table, and they're on the border of the demotion. Matthias right above demotion, Huang the first person in the demotion zone, and they might just be playing almost against each other, outside of the fact that Andre is so close behind. And the demotion fights are always just as exciting as the promotion ones. I know I'll be in a demotion fight myself coming up in A1. And
I mean, technically anybody from Dustin down could be in demotion range.
Yeah, look at this. So many players in the negatives, within just like 30 points of each other, which is easily accomplished in one session, either won or lost. And those matches will certainly be exciting. I'm kind of curious how things are going in B1 for you, Edwin.
B1 has been a bit of a roller coaster ride. I kind of went off the rails with my play early, and I've been trying to make it back since, and finally got myself above water. So I'm actually sitting at in the middle with like a 4.6, which is considering again where I started and where I was at one point at like minus 100. Like getting my statistics to look somewhat respectable at this point is probably an accomplishment in and of itself.
Yeah, I know the Edwin play style has been in the works for a while, and it's always exciting and interesting to see. It's almost unnatural, but it works, and it's been getting better and better. And right now, you're sitting right there in the middle at plus 4.6, and the promotion zone, you're actually not that far back. The cut line right now is only 29.7, so definitely doable.
Weirdly enough. Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, first I was just like happy to be at 0, but noting that where the promotion spots are, it's like, oh, there's actually a chance for me to do something here. And
yeah, it looks like there's still one more table to be played here. Maybe I see a few people at 16.
Yeah, no, there is one more game to be played, so those things can shift around. It is Shane, Rachel, Travis, and Sichuan. So it's even possible that, I mean, it's still a fight for the demotion zone, but if for some reason Travis and Sichuan have 2 decent games, that bottom range again narrows even further.
In the meantime, up at the top, Alfred, Sarah, really in control of this B1 division, and it looks like unlikely that they'll be falling. Eric K also in pretty good stand. Would need to have a couple really bad forts in order to drop out of the promotion zone as it is, and the demotion zone looking quite exciting as well, with Baldwin, Kevin, Jacob right around the 50-60 mark, and then you have a little bit of a cliff before you get to the 100 spot. Of course, Travis and this one both have the ability to climb out of that hole with their games that they'll be playing presumably in the next couple of days.
Yeah, so it wouldn't necessarily take much. I mean even for Sichuan, even getting to like, a minus 100 here wouldn't be too bad. And Travis, if they also got that same number of points, would actually find themselves on the edge of the demotion zone. So, like I said, if somehow they come out with both of them come out with a good session, that suddenly becomes a lot more to play for down there.
I know I said at the beginning of the season, B1 was the division I really wanted to see. Hopefully we'll get as many of these Session 6 matches from B1 broadcast. I'm really excited to see what ends up happening here. But while we're at it, should we look at B2?
Yeah, B2 does have some games to play still, but are for the most part done. The one game that's still left to play actually is between. Somehow it ended up being between people at the bottom of the table, so you may not actually see them in this. You might see them in the big chart here.
Yeah, we'll update that. I picked Harrison as the highlighted player. Harrison was the first person that came to mind as someone in B2, fellow commentator.
Okay, so we do get to see everybody here.
Yeah. I know Harrison and Dave and Jonathan all up there at the top, very close, 150, 150X. One's digit play, slightly different, but very secure in their promotion. We'll probably just be duking it out to see who can be at the top when all things are said and done. I think Harrison and Dave will actually be in the same Hanchan next week.
Yeah. So in this particular case, because we're now at 24 people, there are enough rounds out there that a position round isn't needed. And besides, at that point, if you play 6 rounds, you're playing 18 out of the 23 people. So you're still not covering everybody.
Yeah.
Um,
So whereas
but
in A1 and A2, we have the people you play against in session 6 depend on where you've been placed. That's not the case here for B2. You just um, the Hanchan tables, the players at the tables have been determined since the start, and we'll just play through them all. So we already knew who these players would be fighting against, even though it looks like there's still a couple Hanchan yet to be played here as well.
there's just one, and that's for the people at the bottom there.
Yeah, Nick,
But yeah, so you were mentioning Harrison and Dave possibly being at the same table. They are. They're going to be at the same. They're going to be with Steven, who's sitting in 6th, and Brett, who still has to play their games. So
right?
that one minus 105.5 is still tentative.
Yeah, what a fight between 1, 2, 6, all in range of promotion, and then Brett, who is fighting to get out of demotion, will have plenty to fight for in that game. It's going to be a bloodbath, I'm sure.
I mean, technically, it is like a position round. Just in this case, there's 3 people trying to fight for promotion and 1 person fighting to avoid demotion. So this is pretty much a position round in and of itself. Jonathan has Christine, who's sitting in 22nd, Brian, who's sitting in 9th, and Yuan Shi, who's sitting in 17th.
And Yuanxi and Brian will have things to fight for, either avoiding demotion or climbing into the promotion zone. That should be another exciting table. I know I'll be rooting for Cruz in this upcoming series to find a first place. I remember watching a couple of the games earlier in the season and thinking, wow, it'd be nice if your Richis, you could sumo the Richis instead of drawing someone else's winning tile. It's always so frustrating when you get Tenpai, you declare your Richi, and then you just don't win. A bit of an unlucky season so far, but I'll be rooting for a first place in that game, as well as for just some really exciting results down there in the demotion zone, because it's really tight there as well.
Actually,
so many people
if
grouped up
if we
around
keep
negative 100.
if we keep on looking down the pairings for round 6, and again, this is just a standard one of the rounds from one of the pairings for a 24 person 4 person per table format. So Ig has to play Chris L, who's in 18th, William S, who's in 23rd, and Nick, who's in 20. So again, another kind of a position round, sort of, where in this case it's kind of the reverse of Harrison's table, where you have 3 people trying to fight demotion and 1 person trying to fight for promotion. And then Will, who's sitting in 5th, has to play Zhang Yu, who's in 7th, Ryan, who's in 14th, and Eric, who's in 8th. So again, sort of like a position round again.
Yeah,
where
unintentionally, where these games actually matter.
Yeah.
And so we've checked everything from A2 down to B2. We were earlier looking at the B3B. I want to see the B3A and maybe preview the match that we have coming up tomorrow. So let's see, who is in B3A that I can pick?
Jen?
Yes. Jen will be one of the players at the in tomorrow's Hanchan. Afternoon Hanchan. I believe it's 11 a.m. Pacific time?
10
Pacific.
I think it's one. I think. Wait, no.
Let's check.
No. I think it was. I think it's.
No, I'm wrong. It's 1.
1 p.m.
1 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be a little bit later for those on the East Coast. And here we go. B3A standings visible. Kayla in first place with a couple Hanchan to play. Jake had a couple good Hanchan recently, I believe. And Viet will be one of the players at 16 games played, playing all 4 tomorrow. Those 3 players are up at the top. Galhan has finished all of their matches, Alon as well. Eric will be playing tomorrow.
So for somebody like Jake, they're in the clubhouse with a plus 123. It's not 100% safe, but I would say probably at this point, barring actually,
It's
well, it's actually isn't actually safe because if Viet and Eric bump up in their games, depending upon how that shakes out, Jake could actually still fall fall to fourth. But since the lines are going to move down one, that would still actually be a guaranteed spot.
yeah,
So,
that would require Michael as well to climb up 80 points in 2 games, which is doable, but is very difficult to make happen.
yeah.
And there's a lot to be played for in the other games as well around the demotion line / the playoff spots. And again, we'll have Viet, Eric, Jessa, and Jen playing tomorrow for Hanchan. It will be quite exciting to watch.
Yes, a bit. The situation is still a bit murky just because there's other Hanchan to play for this round. So
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to predict what's going to happen here, but it should be noted, just as the games we saw tonight, this is a B3 division, Pool A of the B3 division, so that means that this is the last session, barring playoffs. And so it's your last chance to lock up your playoff spot. It's your last chance to lock up your promotion slot or to staying in the current division. So this is essentially the session 6 for B3. And
for most of them, yes.
right, it's always interesting to see how these players take that sort of end game scenario mindset into action during the Hanchan themselves. So we'll look forward to that tomorrow. All right. I guess we'd be remiss to go through entire league except for A1. So let's take a quick peek there. And the first A name that I see in A1 is Amy, so let's pick that. All right. I think it's quite exciting in A1. Kenyon has been absolutely dominating this season at plus 306 points. The statistics are amazing. If you look at the more detailed statistics, if you're a member of the league, it's even more awesome. But Minko not far behind, and both of those players will be at separate tables in this final round, separately fighting it out to see who can claim that position. Aaron is the next closest behind, but it's difficult to make up 150 points in four games. Not impossible, though, if Kenyon drops down a little bit and Minko as well, for Aaron to catch up. So I'm sure Aaron will be going all out for that top spot. In the meantime, because A1 only has, there's no promotion, there's just the top slot. The real difficult, tough battle is going to be at the demotion zone. And wow, there's a lot of players right around the cut line. I'm one of them in the 15th place, but it's along right behind, as well as Tucker, Amy, and Claire. And really, no one's out of it because I believe we will have one fewer demotion slot than is listed here. So
right, I was going to get to that. So it's likely is fairly likely this happens so long as so to explain. There are 2 people currently in A1 who are planning on going on a hiatus next season. Provided that one of them stays up, at least one of them stays up, then that means we can remove one of the demotion spots instead, because instead of demoting a spot, we can just use that person and then they go on hiatus. So yeah, again, if provided both of them, one of them stays up, then yes, there is one less demotion spot.
Yeah,
I knock on wood because I made a firm claim, and then the unthinkable happened, and then I had basically the A1 was 21 people this season. So
yeah, you could never be 100% sure in Mahjong. Things always seem to go away that you're not expecting. But that means that the battles between these players right around that demotion zone are going to be incredibly intense. And
And I know Steve was like basically wiping a sigh of relief in the sense that not only do they maintain like because that gap of like 100 points
mhm.
between them and the next person down, but the fact that there's also likely to be one less demotion spot.
Yeah, that certainly makes Steve's life easier. I know it's been a difficult season for Steve, being in the player to play in a 5-person table every single Hanchan. Well done to Steve for managing to pull that out. It's not the easiest to get those games scheduled, and it's certainly a unique experience to play 4 games with 5 people. But he's managed to make it work. So well done for that. And I can't wait. Session 6 is always the most exciting for me, not only as a commentator but as a player, and it's going to be very
Yeah,
exciting.
because your table is going to be actually you're on Kenyon's table.
I'm on the brutal table, yeah.
So you're Kenyon, Lucas, yourself, and Zalong. So
So in some senses, it's a head-to-head between me and DeLong. See who can place better between the two of us. But at the same time, Kenyon will be absolutely fighting for first place position overall to be able to.
You don't necessarily want to do better than the other, but that being that you guys finished like third and fourth,
Right.
You just have to have one more third.
Yeah, if we keep dropping down, it's quite easy for and likely that Tucker, Amy, Claire, Beach, Garrick, any of these players could pull a plus 40 session, a plus 60 session, plus 80 session. You never know what to expect with these players. Any one of them could just absolutely go off in a game in a series of 4 Hanchans. So it will be certainly an interesting experience as a player. And for the games that I'm not playing, I'll be trying to broadcast or commentate as many of those as I can.
Yeah,
Well, that's
actually, just looking at this, I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but the fact that A1's deal-in percentage rate is actually a full point less than average. And I can kind of see that now because you can kind of see that with some of the people that you have there with Kenyon, Minko, and Shu with sub 10% deal-in rates. Lucas and Max not far behind. And even for Steve, like, had unfortunately his win rate probably is something to be desired, although the average is great, but he's only sitting at he's sitting at a paltry 12.7% deal-in percentage.
Right. But yeah, I am quite pleased to see that the deal-in rate for A1 is quite respectable, and especially in comparison to the average. And even though the EVs here as well also quite strong, I wish mine was a little bit higher, and I wish my deal-in was a little bit lower. I wish my average win was not below my average deal-in, but I've got four Hanchan to fix that. So it's been on the rise lately. Let's hope it keeps climbing.
Yep.
But yeah, so we only had a couple of Hanchan tonight, but I'm glad we got to do a little recap of everything that's going on in the divisions right before the big session, the final 2 weeks. And then after those 2 weeks, we will have crowned a season winner for A1. They will fight in this year's championship match. And if it's Kenyon, this will be her second time in the championship match. And we'll be looking forward to the following season, the spring season, which is not far away.
It starts on April 3rd. Registration ends, I believe, this upcoming Monday.
Yep, the 20th of March. And if you would like to register for this spring session, you can do so on our website, americanrichi.org. Registration is right up there. First thing you'll see on the main page. And of course, we welcome players of all skill levels, and we would hope that you will enjoy the experience. I know I certainly have, climbing the ladder, climbing the ranks, and
I've just made sure to not embarrass myself too much, on the other hand.
And well, I've certainly made my share of embarrassing errors, but fortunately, I've had a lot of people in the league to ask and see if it really was as bad as I thought it was. And sometimes it is, and I learned from those, and sometimes it's not, and I feel better about it. And so it's definitely been a good learning experience for me.
And we hope it's a learning experience for everybody,
Yes.
especially not just in playing their games, but the fact that we have done things like some of the log reviews on our normal Wednesday broadcasts and stuff, and even some that are just off in the Discord channels in the evening.
Yeah,
Although some people may be asleep, but yeah, I mean, the fact that those things exist now, I hope allow people other avenues to try to work on their game and get better.
Yeah, the What Would You Do channel has been quite active lately with some very interesting situations. What would you discard defensively? What would you discard as a push? How would you construct this hand? Always interesting to see the varying opinions on each situation. So I definitely enjoyed that aspect of things. And well, of course, don't forget about our YouTube channel. tinyurl.com/ARMLYT has all of the previous videos, the previous championship games, the previous session 6 games, just the regular season matches as well. There's a lot of really exciting matches on there. We have hours and hours of Mahjong content on that channel. So give that a look and a subscription, and we would appreciate that as well. And well, any final thoughts, Edwin, before we call it an evening?
No, that's about it. I mean, I think part of me is my mind is unfortunately kind of having to deal with the finagling the numbers with people going on hiatus and stuff in the background. So
yeah,
it's a little distracting, but it's part of what I do.
Yeah. Well,
but in terms of the play tonight, it definitely was interesting, exciting, and hopefully people got also a chance to learn from it as well.
Yeah.
And I know we'll also have the broadcast tomorrow, so look forward to that, please.
All right. And so, yeah, with that broadcast tomorrow in mind, 1 p.m. Pacific, we will thank you for watching. Hoping to see you tomorrow. And, well, have a good night.
Good night, everyone.